ready?
Yeah.
This is Donovan, Sean Keys, and this is Champaign Conversation. Round of applause. We got my co-host I'd like to introduce, Shay, from Me and More Planning, for Me and More Planning, coordinating events.
You got it right this time. Shout out to you.
And we got Meghan. I'll have her introduce her own self.
I'm Meghan. I am a citizen of Champaign and a school social worker here.
Okay.
Community.
Thanks for coming on the show. School system is a very important thing.
Stay in school, y'all.
Stay in school. Please stay in school. So how'd you get your start?
Well, I started off wanting to go into psychology when I attended Parkland right after high school, way back. And, well...
Yeah, you look young.
You look like you're only about 24.
You ain't no...
Okay, yes!
You ain't no Sandra Bullock, but...
I worked for an after-school program in Urbana, and I loved it, loved my coworkers, loved working with the kids, and so I decided I wanted to be a teacher. So I went to undergrad at Illinois State for, in Bloomington Normal, and got my degree in elementary ed, and so I taught middle school for a few years in a small town near here, and then I decided that I really was more interested in what was going on in the kids' lives, like how can this kid come to class and really be concerned about learning about nouns and verbs and all of those things, and writing an essay when his life is, really chaotic outside of school. And I was more concerned with that because I know that when students are emotionally healthy, they can learn better.
That's true.
So I went back and got my master's degree in school social work at the University of Illinois.
Shout out.
Congratulations. You got a lot under your belt.
So what's going on with your football team now?
I don't really know. I don't do sports.
What?
Sorry.
I guess they got a good social work program.
She doing her part.
Not a good football team.
Right. Yeah. So then I started working here in the community and love it.
What's your favorite part about working with everybody?
Every day is different. So I work with teenagers, and that is just like such an important time in their life. And every day is different. There could be a million things going on. And I have a plan. And I'm like, this is what my day is going to look like. And all of that goes away. But, there's just a lot of really cool things about working with teenagers.
So do you prepare kids for like college or like?
In a way. So my focus in the at the high school level, there's usually counselors, and then there's social workers. So the counselors are really more focused on like the academic pieces, making sure the students have their credits, and getting them exposed to college opportunities or work opportunities outside of after high school. And my piece as a social worker is the social emotional piece. So that can feed into what are you going to do after this, because that plays a part in students' levels of stress. Like they don't know what they're going to do. But I mostly focus on that social emotional piece. So conflict resolution, stuff going on at home or stuff going on in relationships, because that's like huge in high school. So a lot of those things, getting along with teachers, managing your stuff, like how do you keep everything kind of balanced and in line, and when it gets out of whack, what do you do, and coping skills, and not freaking out all the time, and just all those kind of things.
Is it easy to work with the elementary students or the high school kids?
I prefer the older kids, honestly, because I love younger kids. I enjoy them, but I really like working with the high school age because they're really starting to get stuff, and it's just like such a crucial point in their life where it can go one way or the other. A lot of times, you know, they can make some really great choices and get on this path, or they can make some not so great choices and get on this whole other path. And so I really like that. And with the younger kids, the things that some of our younger kids go through is just really heartbreaking. I mean, it's heartbreaking at the high school level too, of course, but you know, I'm just more interested in trying to steer those kids whenever they're at that critical point. That's what's up.
Yeah, I think it played a big part because, like, my high school, like, I didn't fill out no college applications. Like, till, like, probably, like, March. And all my friends was like, yeah, I got accepted. I was going to school in Milwaukee. I had left Champaign, well, I left Urbana and moved back to Milwaukee. So I was pretty much just like, okay, I gotta graduate, my whole focus. But all my friends was like filling out like, oh yeah, we just got accepted to UW Parkside. I think one of my homegirls, she went to Bethune-Cookman, like just different schools, and I'm like,
was you not interested, or you was just like,
I just didn't know.
So graduating, you just,
I just didn't know. Like I didn't.
So
have,
you needed a Megan in your life.
Yeah, I definitely needed a Megan. I definitely needed somebody I could talk to.
Like, what are you doing? What's going on?
So before it was like. My Megan was my granddad. Like, my granddad was like, well, you about to turn 18. I ain't saying you can't stay here, but you gonna have to get about. So,
yeah.
Is it always like, do you always encourage your, so I know for me, like, I chose to go to the military after high school. So do you always encourage your students to go to college or military or pick up a trade?
Yeah, something, you know, because if I know that a lot of times, you know, I'm meeting with the students who are at this point where they're like done with school. Yeah. Maybe they've given up. They might be freshmen and they've already given up. And because you have to realize that not all students have had great experiences with school, or really struggle learning, or really struggle getting along with people. And so, you know, I encourage them to find something that they may be interested in. And when they're getting to that point of junior, senior, it's like, okay, what's next? You know, this high school is not your entire life. That is like, you think while you're in it, you know, just because of the brain and how the brain works. Diamond's nodding her head back there with my goddaughter. Because just how the brain is not fully developed at that point, you think that this is the center of the universe, like, this is the end of everything. You know, it's not. And so, like, there's other stuff that comes afterwards. And so just getting them to see that. I don't encourage college necessarily for everybody. I think college can be for everybody, but I think there are certain students where they are not, you know, I have siblings where it's like, I'm not interested in this stuff. Like, I would rather do something with my hands, or, you know, build, or get out and do something else. And that's cool too. So I think just finding a passion and something you enjoy, because there's nothing worse than working a job that you hate, and it makes everything miserable. So you got to open up some opportunities for yourself and see what options are out there.
Out of the 4 years, which year is the most important, do you think? I know, like, when I was going to school junior year, like, I was going to say
ACT,
right,
SAT.
like junior year, but also freshman year too. So what's your opinion, which one you think?
Freshman year is important.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree. I think junior year is important, because they are getting to that point where you're saying, like, what am I gonna do? Making some really big decisions, ACT and all of that. I would say freshman year is the most important in my opinion, because if they don't, I think the difference between middle school and high school, one of the biggest differences, is middle school doesn't have credits. So you can fail a class and you never have to repeat that class. So you get to high school, you fail freshman English. Now next year you're taking freshman English and sophomore English. You know, yeah.
I was in the freshman section twice.
Yeah, it happens a lot, and so I think that maybe, I don't know, sometimes students like think we're playing when we say like, no, you're going to have to take this class again. They don't realize it sometimes until they're actually in there and they're like, oh yeah, I had to take this class again.
How do you encourage I know for me, like high school, I was all about procrastination. I didn't do my homework until the class before.
Yeah.
I only did first hour homework, and like, how do you encourage? Because that's how I ended up in the freshman section twice. It was just more so like, I had the brains, but I wasn't applying. Like, I'll go home and I'll just like, get on the game or
I'll get to it.
Do this homework. Then mom come on like, you did your homework? Yep.
Yeah, I think that happens a lot. Like, I think that many of the students I work with are so capable of doing whatever they want to do, but it is that procrastination or it is like other things getting in the way. And so I think just helping them realize like, okay, so what are we doing now? What are these grades looking like now? What does your day look like? What does your after school look like? Where can we plan out some different strategies? Because, you know, how's this working for you right now? You know, it's kind of what you come back to. Like, okay, so that's what you're doing, and how's it working for you? Not well. Okay, so what do we need to do to change it? Let's get a plan together. And really, like, in the schools, especially freshman year, we do a lot of collaboration with teachers and, you know, everybody, family, parents, like, it's super important.
Is that like an icebreaker?
What do you mean?
Like you said, y'all do something with the students that like a way to get y'all comfortable.
I see. They do that. Especially the freshmen have like a day where it's just freshmen there. There's no other grades.
I think Amanda does that too.
Yeah, so they do activities and things like that.
How do you get a student to typically trust you personally?
I think just listening and just showing them, like, a lot of times they'll just think I'm just some teacher, like, because I'll talk to kids in the hall and stuff like that. And then they'll say, wait, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm a social worker. You're a social worker, you know? And so then it's like, yeah, like, come to my office anytime. We can sit and talk about this. If you ever need anything, come on by. And then they do. You know, I think a lot of times students just don't know what's there. And that, like, wait, I can go and talk to you, or I can have somebody to talk to. You know, that's definitely, you know, if I can share Diamond your story. Sure. Sure.
Yeah, we got Diamond off camera.
Camera woman.
Hello. Camera woman.
You don't want to see her on camera today.
Hey.
Gayla.
She's been throwing shots.
Diamond was just she was an office helper.
Yeah.
So, like, she was helping out in the office for one of her periods. She was a teacher, a TA, a teacher's aide or whatever. So she would run passes, like, if we needed somebody, like, hey, run this pass down to whoever, go get this, or what, you know, stuff like that. So I would just talk to her just every once in a while, like, you know, like, hey, how are you? How's your day? And stuff like that. And then I actually had a couple of foster children that year. And so I was like, that's cool. Like, she's a really, like, seems stable. Yeah. And so she actually, we just formed a relationship like that. And so she would watch my girls every once in a while or come hang out with us to just kind of be a role model for them. And she was really good at that. And then, you know, she moved away for a little bit and we kept in touch. And when she came back to the area, it was just like, yeah, let's pick up and let me know what you need. And now she birthed my goddaughter this year.
Let's keep the child bond.
So is it stories like that, like like know like I'm doing the right job. I'm like I chose like the right career path.
Yeah.
I'm making a difference.
Yeah, because when Diamond didn't graduate from my school, but when she did graduate, it was like, whew, you know, because like you get these students that you're like, I don't know. You get attached to them. It's the relationship, and you're like, man, I don't know if they're gonna make it. I'm really worried. Like, what's gonna happen if they don't graduate, and this and that. And then it's like just a relief whenever they see their own potential, and they're like, oh, I can do this. And that's like amazing. So. Yeah, it's all about the relationship.
Okay. Let me see you.
That's me in school. I went to like 4 different high schools.
She did.
Did you go to high school in Chicago?
Yeah, I went to Thornton, and then I went to Midwest.
Well, that ain't really Chicago.
Well,
Well, I'm gonna have to learn how to throw the little shot thing on camera. Yeah. But what I was about to say, you said that you had foster. And you just shared something on your social media. And I looked it up because it just said like in Champaign, it's 334 kids in foster care in Champaign alone.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know that. 81 in foster care, 168 with relatives, and 85 in institution and group homes. So is that like a passion of yours?
Yeah. So I have always wanted to be a foster parent since I was like in high school. And I always thought like, oh yeah, like maybe after I have my own kids or whatever. Well, that hasn't happened. So I just thought, you know.
DMs.
I thought you had kids. You said that that'd be something with you and your girls.
Yeah, so I had foster girls. So they returned home.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just thought, you know, why am I waiting? Like, I'm going to go get licensed. I'm going to go through the classes and do this because.
Get a license to become a foster parent?
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
we have
like
to go
different
through
programs.
classes.
Like you got to get certificates and all types of stuff. People come to your home.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I know that much, but I didn't
check
even have like a
everything.
certificate.
Yeah.
The state got to make sure.
You have to, definitely be licensed.
You don't want to survive R.Kelly.
But
we're not gonna.
Well, what I was trying to say is, so how do all these, you know, you have all these bad foster stories about how they was getting beat and misused. So apparently, this certificate is, what is it for?
Yeah.
What are the government doing?
a piece of
all
paper.
this stuff
That's
is
it.
doing.
I think like
Yeah,
any system is broken though. Like
It is.
like you got any system is broken, right? Like so you can't really like screen everybody. But I feel like it needs help and it needs to get addressed because these kids are at risk. Like they don't have parents at this point, no legal guardian. Yeah, some of them are with relatives, but who's to say their relatives are like capable?
Right.
You know, and then just in Champaign alone, 334 people is, you know, like that's a lot, a lot.
What's the population of Champaign?
I think it's like 200.
70?
70?
No, 77 or something.
70 something thousand. But that's still a lot with kids.
Yeah.
You gotta get down to zero. If we having kids, you gotta get down to zero, man.
You think that's really gonna happen?
It can if we raise awareness.
You know, yeah, and I think, well, the biggest reason, the top reason for kids entering foster care is neglect, and that could be just being left at home alone, or you know, and there's a dangerous situation that happened, and then the police are called, and then it's investigated. You know, stuff like that. It could be that the kids are left with drugs in the area, or you know, stuff like that. So just their safety is not being put at the forefront. And I mean, I agree. I would love to see that number get closer to zero, and I would love to see it at zero. I don't know that will happen just because the system is broken. And you know, at least here in Champaign, there's a lot of need. We have, you know, poverty, we have violence, we have stressed out families, you know, and when stress comes and when their social emotional needs are not being met, kids suffer. And, you know, sometimes it's not necessarily anybody's fault. It's like parents are doing the best that they know how, but we've got to get the message out there, like being more proactive about preventing that from happening.
So did that scares you with like the incline of the violence and the guns and just the community just suffering, like just crime rates getting higher, poverty's getting higher, and then like, okay, you're still having kids are still going to school, like the community going outside, they might have to bury their cousin, their uncle, and it's like, how do I focus in this classroom when I'm learning about George Washington, and my cousin just got killed, or my brother just got shot, or my uncle just got killed? Like, how do y'all like kind of like incorporate like what's going on in Champaign into the system? Like, okay, I get that, but this is all going to pay off. Like, encourage.
Yeah, that's huge. So I know that there's several staff in the school system who like specifically work towards that, especially our young Black men, like building them up and saying like there's alternatives, like you don't have to do this, you don't have to go down this way, but there's just a lot of pressure from each other, and that's family, you know. A lot of times when we talk about you know, gangs and stuff like that, that's family to our students, you know. They need to have somebody to have their back, and so we want to say, like, we've got your back. We may not have your back, like, being out in wherever, but we see a different plan for you, and we want to see you fulfill that, and here's some opportunities. Shout out to Caleb Carter, he is and Sheldon Turner. They are running Goal Getters, so several of our boys are in this program where they meet and they kind of get mentored, and they learn about all these types of things, how to resolve conflict without resorting to violence, what's going on inside. So a lot of times our students who are angry all the time, there's stuff going on inside. You know, our students who are snapping and fighting or snapping and cussing out a teacher, it's not because they want to do that. It's like, that's not like my main, like, I just love cussing out teachers. You know, there's other stuff going on. It's like, hold up, what's going on? And so teaching students to recognize, like, that's not me, that's not who I want to be. I want to resolve this issue in a different way.
So how do us as a community, because I know like at-risk or like quote bad kids, like they would just isolate them and they would put them into like one class. Like everybody bad, you got in a fight, 2-3 fights at school, you in this one class, y'all all like, so now it's like almost like a prison in a sense, like y'all got this class, y'all got the same schedule. So it's like this person who's got an quote attitude problem, this person got a quote attitude problem, no issue resolution. How do we get involved with teaching like our students or going to like the school board meetings and like, we got to change this because this isolation of them from like the general school population is not pretty much working, because I see them students or them kids go out, now they might miss a day, miss 2 days, and then they're going out in the streets, getting in trouble, now they got a record, and it's like a chain reaction. So how do us as a community like get involved in the school system? Because I feel like that's where it starts. Like you go to school, you're there from kindergarten all the way up to 12. So let's just say for 12 years, 13, that's a long time. And for like an adolescent, this is your whole world. Like high school was like the big thing. If you're the man in high school, the big thing. So it's like, how do we get involved? Like how do we get, is there like ways that we can mentor?
So one thing is, so mentoring, usually the mentoring programs in Champaign start at a younger age. They want you to get in there when they're younger, so that you can be with them as they grow up. And so a lot of our students have mentors in high school who've been with them since like 3rd grade. So those are really great opportunities where you can kind of get in there. But that is starting with just one. And if you can only start with one, that's great. You got to start somewhere. But I think some other ways are just kind of looking at the opportunities that come across you in your day. You see somebody out at the grocery store, you're being kind to them. You're talking to them. You're not isolating them in that way. I think it starts with families, like getting the word out there that, we want to be a support and we want to be a resource. And yeah, things are hard. Raising teenagers is so hard. It's so hard. Like and you got girls. It's like
girls.
Trouble.
Two girls.
Oh,
It's rough.
It's rough. But
What?
All I heard was booty shorts.
No way.
All I heard was booty shorts.
They reach that age where they start feeling themselves. They gonna reach that age, Donovan. You gonna get to that point where they gonna start feeling themselves and experience the half shirts and the little shorts and.
No matter what it's gonna be when they grow up, it might be something way.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they is bringing old trends back, but
it's gonna be something.
There ain't no booty shorts going on with my girl. I'm not having that.
Yeah.
Oh, daddy sleep.
Since we on this, so did y'all see the R.Kelly?
I have not watched it yet because
I haven't seen it, but I heard about it on social media.
I'm the only person that watched it. I stayed up till 5 o'clock this morning watching it.
I can't.
Brittany, you watched it?
Yeah.
You watched it?
I watched it.
What you think?
He a mess. I mean, because it's like growing up, some people like younger people, but you messing with people 12, 13, something is wrong with you.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Well,
I feel like some of it might have been real, but I really don't feel like, because my whole thing is, everybody in the documentary, they kept saying like, "Oh, we saw him sitting across Kenwood." Y'all saw him every day, but nobody said nothing. A police officer said, "I saw him sitting there." Why are you at high school? But why didn't you say anything to him?
When I was in high school,
and he wasn't big yet.
Muggs was messing with older men.
Yeah,
my friends that's like 16, 17.
They is now too.
And he basically at the middle school. You 12.
But what I'm saying is, they said he was parked across the street.
Yeah.
Y'all saw him, but nobody said anything. So y'all just in fault as much as he is. Y'all allowed it. One girl said we didn't say nothing because we black girls. No, that's an excuse.
What?
No.
That's exactly what she
I
said.
think you gotta speak up.
Black girls go loud and stuff them off. Mama, this dude 45.
They didn't want to get that
being
messed
fast
up.
or whatever. Let me know. It's a community to raise these kids.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, and everybody kept saying, I know he did
that I'm gonna get fired up about because
that's what we want.
That's
what we want.
I just feel like if you see my girls and if they not gonna do it in front of me, and you see them acting like they ain't acting in front of me, let me know. Call me.
That's true.
And check them. Like, we gotta get to the point where like it's okay to don't like put your hands on them, don't do them, but check them. Mm-hmm. Now you know your daddy crazy.
Sure. Then it's another thing where the parents not getting involved in their kid's life, because most parents will be like, "Hey, how's it going? What about what's going on at school? What about your dating life?"
Just like she said, she paid what's the name $100.
When I seen that, I said $100.
And the other person
he
paid
$1,000,
and that's only because she almost died. But $1,000 is worth her life for y'all to shut up. If you're not about to pay me about my child.
This goes back to the Bill Cosby thing. They just want money because he's big and he's famous now.
That's what
Megan, how do you feel? Because Megan getting a little distressed over here.
So if a student came to you and said XYZ is happening, what's going to be your next as being a social worker? What is it a protocol? What you to do a certain thing?
Well, I don't. It depends on what the circumstances are, but because I've had training in rape crisis and sexual assault advocacy and all of those things.
But would it really be rape?
Yes,
it's underage.
You believe whatever they are telling you, because there is like there's a statistic that's like a lot of times people try to tell like 7 different times before someone actually believes them. And the prevalence of false reports is like 2% of all reports made. sexual assault is the least reported because of this type of conversation.
The stigma.
The saying like, well, why didn't she and why didn't, I have students who definitely have said things that have happened when they were little, and maybe they did tell, and maybe no one believed them then, and now they're telling again because they found another trusted adult, and now somebody's believing that. And so, like, the other thing is, we have an over-sexualization of black girls. We say, like, well, you're 16, 17, you're basically grown, so no, you are not basically grown. No.
I just made that
and so, yeah, exactly. And so we often, my coworkers, I see statuses from my coworkers who are African American and who are advocates for our black girls, as same as I am. We've got girls out here who are growing up way too fast because society says it's time to grow up. Go, come on, it's time to grow up. Well, if I'm grown, okay, I might as well just go out here. Mm-hmm. Not having the guidance and stuff. That is where
same for boys too.
I think it's just people. Period. You can't I don't know. Me having girls that's my biggest fear. Just to protect them and make sure that they don't something like that happens, and you gotta listen. I was before oh, you don't know, boom boom. Why would they? But now that I got girls, it's you gotta believe them. You got to, because it's you can't make excuses.
It's the same way for guys, because they looked at boys growing up. They're looked at as a certain way, because girls, okay, they always say you're grown, you're this, you can get out of my house, blah blah blah. So they go out and do whatever they want. And boys, they looked at as, oh, you gang banging, you got to be tough, you can't cry. So they holding all these feelings in, and then they I got to toughen up, I got to be grown, I got to do this, mama ain't doing this, so they feel the need, I got to go out and sell drugs to get some type of money in some type of way. It's it's on both ends, and especially for the black community. And I'm not trying to get into that, because you got the Caucasian men out here. You see them all suited, booted, they nice. They parents that took care of them. Where then you got these black boys who mama that gave up on them at a certain age.
It started at home. I feel like it started at home, because you have to raise your kids. And you have to be in your kids' life. And you have to check on your kids, and you have to know your kids.
And listen to them.
Yeah.
I think we got to start getting rid of them stigmas that comes with this black community, whatever. Kill all them stereotypes, because it's not getting us anywhere. It's not getting us anywhere. The fact that it's a show surviving R.Kelly is crazy. It's not getting us anywhere. But I just feel we gotta be in our kids' life. Just to piggyback, she said, it starts at home with family. You go in there meeting the social work. You go in there meeting the Megans of your kid's school. You go in there and just talking to them. How my kid doing? How they walking? I know
involved.
And just being involved and making them feel comfortable and not pressuring them, and letting them know it's A-okay, because it's a cruel world out here. It's a cruel world.
And they don't be like that, because I know when we took Joel to his karate class, and the teacher came to us, and he was like, I'm very happy because y'all stayed through his whole class. A lot of parents just drop their kids off, and they think we a babysitter. You need to stay and see what's going on. Yeah. He was like, y'all is one of the only few. Every time we would sit there the whole time during all his sessions, and he was like, I just wanted to meet y'all, because y'all always come in and y'all involved in his stuff. It's you gotta be involved. You can't just be oh, my son on the basketball team, but you ain't never went to no game.
Yeah.
You gotta be there.
So I saw this probably about a year ago. I saw this thing on Facebook. It was it said something if you don't listen to kids when they're little about the little things, they run around. Jada took my blah 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 blah. Girl, shut up. Go sit down. I can see that saying that, and it's well. If you listen to it, oh, that really hurt your feelings, didn't it? You let's learn how to share, okay? If we're shutting down little ones about little things.
That makes sense.
They are not ever going to come to you when they're older because you haven't listened to them their whole life.
Yeah, I seen something like that too. It was like a video showing like this kid going to his dad, was like, "Oh, I'm busy,
yeah.
I'm busy, I'm busy," and then like it showed like I guess it was trying to represent like he was at risk, smoking, getting into gangs and stuff, and then his dad was like, "What's going on?" And the kid had his back to him now this time, like saying like, "I'm busy," like so it's learned behavior from us pretty much. So I think we do better on that, but. Thanks for coming to the show, Megan.
Awesome, Megan.
Definitely
Thank
awesome.
Very informative.
Continue doing the work that you're doing in community.
Shout out to you.
Shout out to you.
Yeah.
And
Oh, by the way, she's single.
Oh my God!
Go to Sophia.
All right, that's it.
Round of applause.
Good job.
My daughter's voice.
It's a 30-minute interview.